Well, hey everyone, how you doing? It's Craig Campbell from Pastor Craig's Cards, and I got to make a video about the National and my experience. This was my first ever National, and what an experience that was. I was a little bit overwhelmed on the first evening there on Wednesday when we got there and for that early night. And I remember I did not have a VIP pass. I'd bought a ticket because I didn't know for sure how many days I was going to be able to be there or if I was even going to be there at the time. So I just bought a regular ticket for Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. But I remember buying the ticket for Wednesday, and I was a little bit nervous on where was I going to go because all the people in the house that I stayed with, they all had VIP passes. So I think it was me and Drew, Clean Cheap Shots. We had individual tickets, and I remember Drew said, just act like you belong. And so we went downstairs where the VIPs were at, and we sat there, and nobody said anything to us at all. And we had a really good time. We sat there at a round table, and it was myself and Drew, Clean Cheap Shots, and I remember Rocket Rick came, and John 3D80's kid was there, and Jason was there from Everyday Collector. And we just sat around the table and had a good time talking and just really anticipating. We were kind of showing him some of the cards I was thinking about getting graded. Yeah, Adam from Vintage Sanctuary was there. And Drew looked really hard at my cards, and I was real thankful he did because he saw a few things that I had missed. Drew's got a really good eye, and there were a few things I'd missed on my cards, and so I actually brought them home with me to take care of those issues before I submitted them. So I really want to thank Drew for that. But Adam, he's got such a great eye, and he was looking at some of my cards as well, and we just had a really good time sitting around the table, just kind of everybody anticipating the chance to go and enter the card show on that Wednesday. And we got in there on Wednesday, and I remember I had this feeling of being overwhelmed, and there was so many people, so many things to look at. Didn't really know where to go, and so I thought to myself, I really didn't have like specific targeted cards that I was looking for. Yeah, there were some that I wanted to get. There were certain cards, but I didn't have anything that was pressing. And so I thought on that Wednesday night, I'm just going to kind of walk around and just enjoy the experience and just look at the tables, look at the artifacts that were there with the auction houses, just kind of understand the lay of the floor turnout because there were so many people, so many tables, and I remember just kind of walking around a little bit mesmerized, a little bit taken aback at just the size and the amount. And I don't want to say it was chaos, but there were just so many people. And so I do remember I stopped and I went to a table, and they had a bunch of boxes of commons for the 1956 set. And I just kind of stood there and I looked through a box. I thumbed through. I think I picked up 2 cards, and just to kind of catch my breath because it was kind of an exhilarating moment going in there. That may be a little bit of an overstatement, but for a guy for his first time at a national, it was, I'm an old man, but I was still kind of taken aback by it all. And so I looked around all that night and just kind of wandered around. And I remember we went back to our base table where Matt, the card story, his wife and kids had a table where a lot of us YouTubers would just kind of go and sit down and eat or just catch our breath and just chill up for a minute. And that was such a kind of a nice little sanctuary to go and relax in the chaos. And I remember Jason, Everyday Collector, he had showed me I want to say it was an Aurora Vision that he'd picked up or something. And so he wanted to show me the table. So we went and looked at that table. And that was where I got my first card of the show. I didn't really have anything specific to buy, but that was my first and my only pickup of the first day. And let me turn this around here. So my first card pickup of the show was this 1958 Ted Williams, and you can see it's in a PSA 1. But when you look at this card, I mean, it really looks nice for a 1. I mean, the yellow does not have fish eyes all over it. His face has got good clarity. It's off-centered, left to right, pretty bad, but it's just not a beat-up card. But you can see in the upper right in there, there's a crease that runs right through there. But for a PSA 1, and I wanted to get a Ted Williams card. This is really the first Plain Days Ted Williams I have in my collection. And so I got this nice PSA 1 Ted Williams card. And the seller, he had it listed for $80, and I ended up buying it for $60. And so I got my first Ted Williams Playing Days card in a PSA 1. That's really nice, 1958. And I'm really happy with it because when I look at it straight on, I don't really see that crease. I have to kind of tilt the card like that with the naked eye to see the crease. So I was really happy, again, with this Ted Williams for my first purchase. And, you know, I did not really have any plans of getting a Ted Williams card at the National, but that was the first card that I picked up. And so we went back to the house. I remember we left there Wednesday night. We at the frat house, which we call the lovingly the frat house, and we were getting pizzas. I think Theo Clemente Collector had ordered pizzas, and we were stuck in the parking lot. And we were there for over an hour, and it was a pretty wild scene because there was one high school kid that was trying to direct traffic. People were driving over median strips, you know, like up over the curb, and to go nowhere. And so we sat there, and we weren't really happy, but again, we weren't. What were you going to do? Like button line, try to nose your car out so you could go 5 cars ahead and sit again? I mean, it was just really just chaos. So I think we just sat there and figured, you know what, we're not happy, but we're just going to have to deal with it like everybody else. And so that's kind of what we did. And we had a really good time. We went back there on Wednesday night, had pizza, and just kind of told stories. We stayed up pretty late. It was just a real fun night. We all just sat in the living room and just had a good time. And I hope I don't miss any names, but, you know, Matt from the card story, he was the one that kind of got the house for us. And we had John 3D80's Kid was one of my roommates. Eddie's Cardboard Chaos was another one of my roommates. Adam Vintage Sanctuary was a roommate. We had 4 of us in one room. And then Theo Clemente Collector and Jason Everyday Card Collector, Dan's Vintage Baseball PC, Joe Force Off Corners, Drew Clean Cheap Shots, Dave Legends of the Dugout, and then Chris's friend Chris from Missouri stayed with us. He had some motel issues. And then his son, or his friend Coop, I believe his name is, and his son were there. And then later on, Alex Bowman 53 also came and stayed. So I hope I'm not missing anybody. But we had a real fun time at the frat house and just enjoyed it. 2 bathrooms, all those men, but, you know, we made do. It was okay. And it was just a fun experience. And on day 2, then, I was to pick up an Al Kaline card. I wanted the 1955 Al Kaline. That was really one of the cards I was looking for. And I was looking all over for this Kaline, and I saw a couple of them, but they were like really high grades and, of course, really, really expensive. And I actually found this later in the day on Thursday. And if you look at it, it's just a really, really nice card because a lot of times you'll see like snowing or specks up on the hat or on this red here. And this is really, really clean. And so I was really happy with that. The Tiger logo often will have some spotting on that as well. The centering's not terrible. I mean, the top to bottom looks pretty good. Left to right is not that bad. And the back of the card is in pretty decent shape as well. And so it's just a nice looking card. And I found this for $70. And I remember I was trying to bundle the card with something else that the guy had. He was a small dealer, and I really didn't find anything else I was interested in. And so I made an offer of $60 on this, and he accepted the offer for $60. And you can see this is a PSA 2, and it's a graded a good, but it's really fits my collection well because it's got really, really good eye appeal for a 1955 in a PSA 2. I'm really happy with it, you know, because a lot of times you'll just see like discoloration through here where that dark red's at, or the red to the light red bleed across the face is not good. The bottom sometimes has a lot of spots on it, but this is a really nice looking card. So I was happy to grab this for my Al Kaline card. This was one card I was actually going to the show that I was looking for. That was one of the cards that I really wanted. Now, on the first night we were there, many of you know Billy Ballgame, and Billy had had some cards he wanted to sell, and this was one of them. And so he had a nice Willie Mays 1960 and an SGC 3.5, and me and Jason were there, and we were talking with Billy, and I remember Billy said he wanted to sell this card, and he gave me the price, and I was really interested. I remember Jason said, Craig, if you don't buy it, I'm going to buy it. And so I shook Billy's hand, and we agreed at a price, and I was really happy with that, and Billy was happy to get the money, and so this was the pickup that I got off a Billy ball game. Real happy with that. Thanks, Billy. It's a great card. I love the 1960 set. And again, for a 3.5, it really looks nice. So I'm happy to have this in my collection, and I remember where I got it from. That came from Billy. Now on that same day, I had walked around looking for this card. Now, this is not, I didn't get this until Thursday night, but I looked at 4 or 5 tables for this card, and I saw some that were way overpriced. I saw some that were, the grades did not match the card at all. I saw one that was graded like a 5, and along the bottom here, like the print was just terrible, just terrible. And so I waited at one table for quite a while for a guy to come and get the card for me. And when he did come, and I offered him, and he said no. And he was real quick to say no. He didn't even think about it. And I didn't really like the card anyways, but I almost felt like this is one of the cards I wanted, and I almost kind of jumped at something I probably would have been very, very unhappy with. And so I walked away from this one on Thursday, and didn't really regret walking away. Now on Thursday night, we had the YouTube hangout, and I saw Mike Moynihan there, of course, and it was just a great event, just fantastic. And on one of Mike's videos 2 or 3 weeks before the National, he had gotten back a PSA cards from the Grail collection, the big purchase they had made, and this was one of the cards. They'd gotten back 3 Tom Seavers, I think one graded a 7 or an 8, and he had 2 that were PSA 6s. And he had mentioned in his video that they were for sale. So I contacted Mike as soon as I watched the video, because I needed this for my Seaver run. And I said, hey, I'd like to get one of those PSA 6s. And I sent them a PayPal, and then said, you know what, just bring it to the National. I'll see you probably on the floor or at the YouTube get-together. So this card here came from the Grail collection. And real happy to add this. Thanks, Mike. And I put it in my collection. I noted it as from the Grail collection. That way I'll know where it's from. So just a real nice 1970 Tom Seaver. Real happy to have this. Just kind of special knowing where it came from, and from that collection, and then also from Mike. So thank you for that. Now at the YouTube Hangout, I don't know how many of you know Rob, Baseball Time Traveler, does just a great job with his videos. And Rob had a personal family tragedy. You can go look at his video from about 2 weeks ago. I'll leave it at that. But he had some cards he was wanting to sell. And we were upstairs at the YouTube Hangout. And Rob was up there, and because it was so crowded downstairs, and there was probably, I don't know, 30 of us upstairs, and a lot of people were looking at cards, and Rob had some cards for sale, and this was one of them. And I'm working on the 1965 Topps Hall of Fame run. So when Rob had this card that I looked at, I thought for sure this is one I liked, and it's just such a nice card. Kind of an odd pose, the picture from the side, but I just love these 65 Topps. They're probably my favorite 60s design. And this was a really nice card. And then knowing where it's coming from, and knowing Rob's situation, and we just had a great conversation. And so I was just really, really happy to purchase this from Rob, Baseball Time Traveler. And so that Ernie Bank 65 fits the bill. And then Rob had this for sale. Now, this is the card I looked at earlier in the day and had saw some that I just was not happy with. And so to get this card from Rob, and again, just I was so happy to buy a card from a friend, and with the situation, and it just makes my day. And this is a beautiful card. I'm just so happy to have that. Killebrew Mays Mantle Superstar. Just a great card. So, Rob, Baseball Time Traveler, just know that I'm praying for you and your family, and I'm just so happy to have gotten these two cards from you. They mean a lot to me, and I'm so glad that we ran into each other upstairs at the YouTube get-together. Now, Friday was a big day for me. We had a really good time at the house on Thursday. I remember we left actually a little bit early from the show because it was just so crazy. Came back and I took a shower at the frat house there. Then we got ready to go to the YouTube get together, and so we drove on over there for that. And boy, that place was packed. There were a lot of people there. I don't know what the numbers were. I'm thinking there was almost 200, and I mean it was just a fun time. So many people, and that's one of the sad things is there's so many people you want to talk to, but when there's 200 plus people, there's just no way. And so a lot of us had went upstairs, and I remember myself, Jason, Everyday Collector, we were up there. Sammy Thunder was up there, a few other people, and I remember I bought a 1956 Topps from Sammy Thunder, and then the cards from Rob, Baseball Time Traveler, and just had a really fun time at the YouTube get together. Just a unique experience to have that many people involved in YouTube, whether they're content creators or observers. To be there was just really just a testimony to this community and how strong it is, but really the bonds that are made through baseball cards and through YouTube. And we get to see each other in most cases once a year, twice a year, maybe if some people go to Strongsville or other shows if they're in that same geographic location. But really had a blast on Thursday night. And then Friday morning was going to be, I kind of hit the ground pretty quick on Friday morning. I pretty much knew where I wanted to go. And this is one of the cards that I kind of stumbled upon. I love Reggie Jackson. He was one of probably my heroes growing up in the 70s. Again, I was born in 1962, so I really start to remember baseball pretty clear around 1972 when the Oakland A's went on their 72, 73, 74 three-peat in the World Series. And Reggie Jackson was a huge contributor to that. Now, these 69s are notorious for their off-centering, and you can see that this one's centered pretty well for a 69. But you can probably also see why it's graded a 2. And if you look just coming down out of the purple, you can see there's like a streak right there, and some sort of probably a water stain of some sort. But you know what? I'm okay with that because this card can get pretty expensive, and I'd rather look at that little water stain than look at a card that's really off-centered. And so I got this. The guy wanted 85 for it. He was an older gentleman, didn't have a huge display case, and he took 70 for this. And so I was really happy with that, that he took 70 for this Reggie Jackson rookie card and a PSA 2, and that will go in my collection just fine. And there may be a day where I upgrade this, but that little streak there, it doesn't kill me. It may bother some people, but I'm okay with it because the centering's good, and it's just got a nice registration. If that water streak wasn't there, this card would probably grade maybe a 5 or a 6 even, because it's got really nice corners, good edges, and pretty decent centering. So I got that Reggie rookie card right off the bat, and I walked around to another dealer, and in the back, kind of by Ashes, but then a little bit off to the right, I guess it would be. And we were there, and I was looking, and I saw this card, and I've always loved this card. I can remember in the mid 80s, early 90s, collecting this card because of that Topps trophy was always front and center in dealers' display cases. It was such a beautiful card, and most of us could never afford a 67 Seaver rookie card, the true rookie. But this was the card that a lot of people wanted because of that awesome trophy and just the fact that it's Tom Terrific and just the look on his face. It's just this card is a winner. I mean, it's just flat out a winner. And so I really wanted to get one, And I was happy to find this one in a 3, but it's just, the centering is okay on it. The corners are a little bit soft. Top to bottom centering's a little bit off. But otherwise, it's not a bad looking card. And I got this card for $40. And I was real happy to get this for $40. And the centering on the back is in pretty good shape. So I've seen other cards, and I wanted probably a higher graded card if I could. But I was kind of weighing my options and thinking, for $40, I can't really go wrong with this. So real happy to add this 68 Tom Seaver to the collection. And I didn't go too much further. And I saw Chris from Missouri and Mike Moynihan. They were talking with a collector or a dealer. And I think Mike knew him fairly well. He didn't have a huge display case. I can't remember his name now, but he was just a real nice, talkative guy. And so after Mike and Chris had walked away, and he had a bunch of 1965s in his display case. And so I was looking at this, and he said 3 or 4 times that, he'd be willing to make a deal because he found out I do YouTube also. I mean, Mike and Chris are much more, well-known than I am for sure. And but when he found out I was a YouTube content creator, he kind of said, hey, he would work with me. I think he wanted to move his cards as well. Obviously, everybody does, but he said he would do a nice combo deal on some of these 65s. And so I got this nice Orlando Cepeda, and a nice 5 on this, and I get a nice back, and I think we came out at about $20 on this card, which is just a real good deal for me on that. So I was happy to get Orlando Cepeda, and then also from him was the 1965 Rookie Stars with Phil Niekro. And this is a nice PSA 5. And so I looked at this, and I was really studying because it was one that I wanted to get. And he said, hey, I'll work with you on the price on that as well. And so got this nice Phil Niekro, and just a real good addition to my 65 Hall of Fame run. And also from him, he had a nice Billy Williams 65. And same deal. We were kind of working together on this. He was putting together the numbers, and just a nice card, nice Billy Williams. So I was real happy to add this as well. My 65 Hall of Fame run is really getting kind of close a little bit. And then the last one he had was a Nellie Fox in a PSA 6, and so I got this Nellie Fox also, and just really happy with the way that all worked out. I came up, I think I was 80, 105. I think we walked away for like $115. It was like 110. And no, it was 120. I'm sorry, 120 for all those cards for the Williams, Niekro, Cepeda, and this Nellie Fox. So that was a real good deal for me to get them in the 65 collection. And then later on that day, I think I've already shown these cards, so I'll just show them to you real quick. But got this card here, this nice Warren Spahn. This is one of my favorite all-time cards, and so happy to get this. And the only thing right above the P, you can see the fisheye on that. But so often this green is just full of snow, fuzz, fisheyes, whatever. And so just happy to get that. And Adam from Vintage Sanctuary and Dave from Legends of the Dugout, we were together and found this really nice 54 Red Heart Warren Spahn. And this is one that I just really cherish. I love this card. And this was, I think, the last purchase for me at the National. And so this was the end of it for me. And then one card I did want to show you that I did pick up. I did get one pre-war card. Tom Bridges, 1934 Gaudi. And I got it because I really just love the way the card looks. It's a sharp card, well-centered. Tom Bridges is not a, certainly not a Hall of Famer. He did have a pretty good career. He was won a couple World Series with the Detroit Tigers. And so this is my first ever pre-war card. And I have kind of a plan of I'm thinking of getting a pre-war card, one from each pre-war set that's reasonable to get. And I would love to get in pre-war. I don't know a lot about it, so I don't want to get into it and buy some cards I'm not going to be happy with. And this one here, as you can see on the back, $45. I think he sold it to me for $40. And so you can't really go wrong with a nice looking 1934 Gaudi for $40. So I was just really, really happy with it. And that's the extent of my national card show. If you look back at some of the other videos, you'll see that I got a bunch of raw cards from Jake. Legends Never Die, and I've shown those in some other videos. I've got a really nice Eddie Matthews 1954 Preferred Portrait. So for me, the National was a fantastic experience. Again, a little bit overwhelmed with the crowd and the size and just the immensity of everything. But the people were the best thing. I mean, we just had a blast. We went to a thing on Friday night that Ash had put together, and there were a bunch of us at a very nice supper club. Aviators was the name of it, near the airport, and just had a real good chance just to kind of chill and relax. And a lot of us sat outside and just talked and had fun and looking at each other's cards, and it was just a real good time. And then I had to get up and leave. I had to preach Sunday morning in Pittsburgh, and so I left Saturday morning and got home probably about 11:30 or so. And I mean, I was like wore out. I took my dog for a nice long walk, and as I got back to the house, my legs were just killing me because all that walking, just all the short nights of sleep, very short nights of sleep at the frat house, getting maybe 4 hours of sleep, maybe 5. And so it was just a fun time, though. Just probably one of the best times I've had with a group of guys in a long time. I mean, I almost felt like a kid again, and just had a blast. And I'm so looking forward to Strongsville, late March in 2025. That's a long ways away, but I've already got some plans, and I got a few things that here with my hobby that I'm going to unveil later, and some of the plans, some of the directions that I plan on going forward. And now that the Strongsville is over for 24 and the National's over for 24, those for me were the two big, really big card shows. And so now I'm going to kind of pull back a little bit and try to save some money and kind of scale back, obviously, the big purchases. But I've got a lot of small purchases, and I've got a stack of cards that I need to get graded. So I've got to figure out some plan. I have some plans for those, but I need to iron that out and make that a reality. But for me, my first National was just fantastic. I just had a blast. The cards were great, but the best part of it was the people. And just there wasn't enough time to say hi to everybody, but there were a lot of really good conversations. And I remember Greg Miller, his dad came over with Greg, and we sat and talked at the frat house for probably 15 or 20 minutes, and that was just a real nice conversation with Greg's dad, and just had a blast with everybody. If I didn't mention your name, I'm really, really sorry. But it was a fun time. And this is a long video, so I better get off and get back to whatever I'm going to be doing here. Put some stuff away for sure. I've finally got all my cards entered in my databases and my collection portfolio, and so time to put them away and close the book on the 2024 National. And it was a great, great experience. So everybody, just enjoy the hobby. The hobby is alive. I mean, we've all seen that in our videos. The hobby is just like, man, it's really booming, and vintage continues to grow strong. There's more and more younger people that kind of come into it, and so we just need to embrace the hobby and just enjoy it, and cheer each other on, which is such a big part of it. I love watching all the National videos, the amazing pickups, and I know for some of the people that I saw pick up their cards, just how happy they were, just how happy. Billy Ballgame with his Hank Aaron rookie card, Drew Vintage Legacy and the cards that he picked up, and just on and on and on. Jason, Everyday Collector, picked up such a beautiful 56 Ted Williams that I'm a little bit jelly about, because I want to get that 56 Williams myself. It's one of the cards I look at, but I'm really happy for Jason to get that, and I'm so looking forward to Strongsville. And the national maybe in Chicago in 25. We'll see what happens. But everybody keep on collecting. Just enjoy this hobby. Just embrace this. This is a blast. This is fun. And let's just look out for each other and continue to support each other. Everybody, we'll talk to you later.